You'll hardly believe what an AI-generated video looked like in 2009. I'll show you in a moment. Yes, it existed back then. I am an AI-generated myself. Using CapCut in 2025. I know I look and sound like an old man, but I'm a newborn. This channel used the latest tools back in 2009 to generate a terrible comedy duo. Back then, it wasn't called AI. It was still artificial intelligence or machine learning. And the results, well, let's just say it's a good thing no one can generate videos like this anymore. Have a look for yourself.
I met a Dutch girl with inflatable shoes last week, phoned her up to arrange a date, but unfortunately she popped her clogs.
So I said, "Do you want a game of darts?" He said, "Okay then." I said, "Nearest to ball starts." He said, "Bar." I said, "Moo." He said, "You're closest."
You see, I'm against hunting. In fact, I'm a hunt saboteur. I go out the night before and shoot the fox.
I saw this bloke chatting up a cheetah. I thought he's trying to pull a fast one.
So I said to this train driver, "I want to go to Paris." He said, "You're a star." I said, "I've been on telly, but I'm no Dean Martin."
So I said to the gym instructor, "Can you teach me to do the splits?" He said, "How flexible are you?" I said, "I can't make Tuesdays."
But I'll tell you what I love doing more than anything, trying to pack myself in a small suitcase. I can hardly contain myself.
You see, my next door neighbor worships exhaust pipes. He's a Catholic converter.
So I rang up British Telecom. I said, "I want to report a nuisance caller." He said, "Not you again."
He said, "You remind me of a pepper pot." I said, "I'll take that as a condiment."
And oh, did you know all male tennis players are witches? For example, Goran, even he's a witch.
And I've got a friend who's fallen in love with 2 school bags. He's bisexual.
So I was in Tesco's and I saw this man and woman wrapped in a barcode. I said, "Are you two an item?"
So a lorry load of tortoises crashed into a trainload of terrapins. I thought, that's a total disaster.
If our funks walk into a bar, the barman says, "Oi, get out. We don't want your type in here."
A jump lead walks into a bar. The barman says, "I'll serve you, but don't start anything."
A priest, a rabbi and a vicar walk into a bar. The barman says, "Is this some kind of joke?"
Dyslexic man walks into a bra.
A seal walks into a club.
A man walks into a bar with a roll of tarmac under his arm and says, "Pint please, and one for the road."
A 3-legged dog walks into a saloon in the Old West. He slides up to the bar and announces, "I'm looking for the man who shot my paw."
A group of chess enthusiasts checked into a hotel and were standing in the lobby discussing their recent tournament victories. After about an hour, the manager came out of the office and asked them to disperse. "But why?" they asked as they moved off. "Because," he said, "I can't stand chestnuts boasting in an open foyer."
There was a man who entered a local paper's pun contest. He sent in 10 different puns, in the hope that at least one of the puns would win. Unfortunately, no pun intended.
A woman has twins and gives them up for adoption. One of them goes to a family in Egypt and is named Amal. The other goes to a family in Spain. They name him Juan. Years later, Juan sends a picture of himself to his mum. Upon receiving the picture, she tells her husband that she wished she also had a picture of Amal. Her husband responds, "But they are twins. If you've seen Juan, you've seen Amal."
Phone answering machine message. If you want to buy marijuana, press the hash key.
A guy walks into the psychiatrist wearing only cling film for shorts. The shrink says, "Well, I can clearly see your nuts."
I went to buy some camouflage trousers the other day, but I couldn't find any.
I went to the butcher's the other day, and I bet him 50 quid that he couldn't reach the meat off the top shelf. He said, "No, the stakes are too high."
My friend drowned in a bowl of muesli. A strong current pulled him in.
A man came round in hospital after a serious accident. He shouted, "Doctor, doctor, I can't feel my legs." The doctor replied, I know you can't, I cut your arms off.
I went to a seafood disco last week and pulled a muscle.
Two Eskimos sitting in a kayak with chili. They lit a fire in the craft. It sank, proving once and for all that you can't have your kayak and hit it.
Our ice cream man was found lying on the floor of his van covered with hundreds and thousands. He topped himself.
Man goes to the doctor, with a strawberry growing out of his head. Doc says I'll give you some cream to put on it.
Doc, I can't stop singing the green, green grass of home. That sounds like Tom Jones syndrome. Is it common? It's not unusual.
A man takes his Rottweiler to the vet. My dog's cross-eyed, is there anything you can do for him? Well, says the vet, let's have a look at him. So he picks the dog up, and examines his eyes, then checks his teeth. Finally, he says, I'm going to have to put him down. What? Because he's cross-eyed. No, because he's really heavy.
Guy goes into the doctor's. Doc, I've got a cricket ball stuck up my backside. How's that? Don't you start.
Two elephants walk off a cliff. Boom, boom.
What do you call a fish with no eyes? A FSH.
So I was getting into my car, and this bloke says to me, can you give me a lift? I said sure, you look great, the world's your oyster, go for it.
Apparently, 1 in 5 people in the world are Chinese. There are 5 people in my family, so it must be one of them. It's either my mom or my dad, or my older brother Dave. Or my younger brother Ho Char Chu. But I think it's Dave.
Two fat blokes in a pub, one says to the other you're round, the other one says so are you fat bastard.
Police arrested 2 kids yesterday, one was drinking battery acid, the other was eating fireworks. They charged one and let the other one off.
You know, somebody actually complimented me on my driving today. They left a little note on the windscreen and it said, parking fine. So that was nice.
A man walked into the doctor's, he said, I've hurt my arm in several places. The doctor said, well, don't go there anymore.
Ireland's worst air disaster occurred early this morning when a small 2-seater Cessna plane crashed into a cemetery. Irish search and rescue workers have recovered 1,826 bodies so far, and expect that number to climb as digging continues into the night.
2 fish swim into a concrete wall. One turns to the other and says, damn.
2 peanuts walk into a bar, one was assaulted.
A sandwich walks into a bar. The barman says, sorry, we don't serve food in here.
2 Ariels meet on a roof, fall in love and get married. The ceremony wasn't much, but the reception was brilliant.
2 cannibals are eating a clown. One says to the other, does this taste funny to you?
2 cows standing next to each other in a field. Daisy says to Darlie, I was artificially inseminated this morning. I don't believe you, said Darlie. It's true, Noble.
2 hydrogen atoms walk into a bar. One says, I've lost my electron. Are you sure? The first replies, yes, I'm positive.
2 fish are in a tank. One says to the other, I'll man the guns, you drive.